her story, which she tells at the beginning of the movie. She was living in Washington, D.C. I think she was in her 20s, and she just was working late in a nice part of Washington, D.C. in Georgetown. And as she went to her car, she was attacked by 3 men, and they never found them. But you know, news articles were written. You know, that's what happens in our country. When, you know, one woman gets raped and it makes the front page news. So I just wanted to quickly share who the filmmaker is, and you're going to meet her now.
I was stunned by how many there were. I told them my story and got a little choked up.
I just want to observe this meeting. I think it's so incredible that you all come together to share and be strong together. Thank you for letting me be with you and be part of this.
Nijizani, wamama wote wanajua kama si wamama wote tunawaka katika njia fulani fulani.
We met the women, the victims, we've met the doctor and Major Munyole. Now we're going to meet the people, the criminals, if I could call them so. The soldiers, most of them are soldiers in the Congolese army, and some rebels also. They are remorseless, unrepentant. Some of them even brag about what they've done. So that's pretty much the scene that we're going to see next.
Joseph, can you take a second and explain, you know, how is it that there are rebels and then there's also the official army, and yet they're both raping? Why? Can you just explain a little bit of that? Because I think that can get confusing.
Yes. Well, the war itself started out with the Congolese government, with many factions. Some of them benefiting from outside support. So we have different group rebels. I could name right now we have Laurent Kunda with his group of rebels, and everyone is trying to pretty much keep his own territory, have control over his own territory, and whenever they get a chance to put a hand on women from the other side, it's just sadness, madness. And if you had a chance to see the movie at the beginning, you would have seen that the Interahamwe, for instance, who committed the genocide in Rwanda in 1994, they crossed over to the Congo. They're living into the bushes, and part of what they do is going down into villages, take whatever they could, and rape women. So, but the scene that we're gonna see right now, it's mostly Congolese soldiers. That's what we're gonna see.
No interest in the running water and all that. So they initially go into the villages for food, to steal. So they're stealing what's there and taking what's there. You know, part of what's there is women. And if they are on the rebel side, they're just a lot nastier about it. They kidnap the women, bring them back into the jungle. Whereas, and that's part of what these actual army soldiers will tell you, that, well, we're kind of nicer about it. We just rape once. We don't actually kidnap them. We don't gang rape them. We don't torture them. So it's an interesting way of how they kind of tell themselves that they're good rapists, and it's just part of the fact that, you know, they'll say, you know, we're carpenters, we're this, we went to school, we just
Bernard found a...
So yeah, we have those fellows who pretty much are bragging about the women that they've raped. The film itself is a little sad, if I could say so. But what I like about the film is the end. It's pretty much showing hope. We're going to see Christine. You might have seen her earlier. Christine, and she pretty much kind of she's saying things like, you could kill these women, you could do whatever you want to these women, but you will never kill their spirit, because the spirit will go on, is still strong. And also, Lisa is gonna talk about the lesson that she learned from these women. So that's pretty much the end of the film.
For coming and for staying, and I would again appreciate you filling out the survey. It's one of the first times that we've chopped up a film like this. I hope that you gained a little more information information on what's currently happening in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And if you would like to get together in the future to find a way to take action or get a company like Apple Computer involved or some of your own ideas, whether it's writing your local paper, writing an op-ed, reaching out to your local congressman, there are a lot of things you can do. For me, you know, I just came across this film as I was doing research for Darfur, and I didn't even know that this was happening. And so it's just one of those things that you come across information and to just take the time to really realize, you know, what it is you can do. And that was our intention here, and I'm really grateful that Joseph came here. And now we'll wrap up with maybe some questions for Joseph, maybe as a Congolese citizen, you know, having him share a little bit of his story and his experience living there. And then we also have our professor, I mean your last name?
Corrie Decker.
Professor Decker, that works here at Lehman in the African Studies Department and African and African department that spent a couple of minutes putting it into more historical context and different women's rights context. So actually, why don't we start with you and then we'll go to...
So I just wanted to give some context. I know the film gave a little bit of context, and Joseph as well at the beginning, about the background to some of the violence in the region. There's a long history of violence in Congo. It was one of the first and most prominent sites of the transatlantic slave trade, and starting in the 15th century, and was one of the sites at which people were removed from the interior to the coast and beyond, which created a lot of internal upheaval. And then, of course, in the late 19th century, beginning, I think the film sort of begins there in 1885 with the reference to King Leopold II of Belgium and the extensive rubber trade into the early 20th century. And, of course, King Leopold's soldiers and colonial soldiers, even after 1908, when it became a formal Belgian colony, were known for things like cutting off hands, burning villages, raping women, and murdering masses, as well as driving people out of their homes, basically taking over large areas of land. So this is in the context of a very long history of violence in the region, and the most recent, it's even difficult to sum up recent violence within Congo because you really need to go to the post-colonial period. In 1960, Congo gained independence. Patrice Lumumba was elected prime minister, and then the parliament elected another gentleman named Kasavubu as president. There was a conflict between Kasavubu and Lumumba, which ultimately led to the assassination of Lumumba. And many people have associated the assassination of Lumumba with Western powers because of it was in the context of the Cold War. Lumumba was associated with communist parties. So this sparked a moment of crisis, and Mobutu, who was the chief of staff of the army, came in and basically took over in military coup, took over the government in 1965. So Mobutu was in power for over 30 years. And during his time, there was extensive political and military upheaval, but it wasn't really until 1996, 97, when you have the context of the most recent crisis. And basically, in 1997, Kabila, who is the father of the current president, also named Kabila, Laurent Kabila, with the aid of troops in Uganda, Rwanda, and Burundi, drove out Mobutu. So now you have basically a new coup, a new president in power, with the aid of neighboring countries.